Hi, Greek Myth. So you're working on your God projects. And in this video, I'm going to describe different ways to set up your thinking and your organization of your essays, your short, concise 450 word to 600 word essays. I also am going to emphasize using one quote from your text and how do we set up those quotes so your ideas flow coherently. I'm going to emphasize the idea of using lead-ins. I call this adding green. Okay, the first thing, if you're struggling to organize your ideas, think about your sections of your writing and your ideas like this. You basically have two parts to your short essay. I don't want you to think of these as two paragraphs. I want you to think of two sections. You have a section where you need to give a synopsis about the God and your celebrity or your modern story. I want you to act like, it's potential that I and your audience of your classmates don't know much about this God, and we also don't know anything about this celebrity. So think of yourself like a Wikipedia page. Don't go to Wikipedia and copy it. What I want you to do is, your goal is in a short, concise way, is give us the basic information that we need to know, so when we get to your second part, the compare and contrast and analysis, we have enough prior knowledge so it's clear for us. Basically, you want to be able to give this essay to anybody in the hall as like a independent work, and they could read it without being in class, without knowing the assignment. It's like it could stand on its own. Your first part should summarize who the God is and the celebrity. Your second part is your analyzing. You're now telling me the deeper thoughts about the comparison and contrasting. So when I'm doing mine, and I'm going to be doing the assignment on Dionysus, the first thing I'm thinking about is, how do I start this essay? This is actually potentially my paragraphs here. These are my two sections, my big sections, and now I'm thinking about how I might organize. So like my first section might actually be 3 paragraphs. I might have a short idea about how alcohol is so prevalent in culture, and it has that duality, that paradox of the intoxicating and demoralizing effect. So that might be my linking idea. So I can connect my God, who invents wine in the Greek culture, and I can compare it to my celebrity or my modern story, somebody who has an addiction issue in their storyline. So I might have to use 3, this might be a very short intro. It might only take 2 sentences for me to do it. And then I got to summarize who the God is. And then I've got to summarize who my celebrity is. Now, my second section might be 2 paragraphs. Whenever you are comparing or you are also contrasting. So I'm comparing Dionysus, and I now might talk about, I might do a Dionysus paragraph and then my celebrity paragraph, where I'm now going into the comparison and contrasting of their details more differently. This is different than me just summarizing who they are. I'm now exploring a deeper point. There is actually another way you can set up your compare and contrast. This is called whole by whole. I talk about everything about my God, and then I'll talk everything about the celebrity. And probably the main point is how that God story, he makes the wine because of the death of his friend. And my celebrity might have a similar problem. Maybe there was a drunk driving accident and their friend died. And it just might be a connection like that. Okay, what if I also could set up my comparison and contrasting with what's called point by point? This means you think of points that are similar or different, and you go about organizing your ideas in paragraphs of main ideas around that. Both gods discuss a friend in their storyline that leads them to their consumption of alcohol. And then there might be something different where Dionysus uses this to manipulate, while on the other hand, the celebrity is manipulated. Maybe that's my difference part. To review, you could set up your compare and contrasting whole by whole, or also known as subject by subject. All my stuff about the God, then all my stuff about the celebrity. Or maybe I'm actually going to organize point by point. The main ideas are the little topic sentences of points. Okay, let's talk about quotes. You're juniors or seniors now. This should actually be something that you are at developing with, if not proficiency. But we often need a review. And if you've never heard of using lead-ins to your writing, if you've always just dropped your quotes in and they kind of feel like speed bumps, honestly, you can learn this at proficiency in one lesson with a little practice. So we must put in a lead-in. I call this adding green to our writing, so our quotes, our readers know why that quote's in there. That it flows in the paragraph and we're not just dropping a random quote in the paragraph and the reader doesn't know why it's there. The easiest lead-in is to do the tag. Author says, Hamilton says, comma, then the MLA quote. Because I have the last name of the author, I don't need to put it in the parents. If I don't have the author's last name in there, then I have to put the last name in the parents. Remember, the period goes at the end. Just MLA formatting rules. Now, that's the first way to do a tag. Here's a more advanced way. I call this the sentence lead-in. Hamilton emphasizes God's importance in Greek culture. That's a complete sentence. But I'm linking this idea with whatever quote I would have. So I put a colon here. This quote's going to talk about how important Dionysus was in the culture. These are pretty easy to start doing. The most difficult style and the most college level and professional writing style is to also use the embedded quote. The embedded quote is where you take a couple key words or a phrase and you use it in your own sentence, but you put quote marks around the parts you borrow. Riordan describes Dionysus' sweet and bitterness during the discovery of the vine. So this is my own sentence, but I'm borrowing his ideas on 262 and I'm embedding it. What you're learning to do is find golden lines. Golden lines are my way of saying not all quotes are equal. In your slideshows, you really found great quotes to share with the class, and you have an intuitiveness to find that line that has a little oomph to it, or it's making an argument or stating something in really great style. And it takes practice to find quality quotes. So that's what we're working on in our writing. We're not just reflecting on Greek mythology, we're growing as writers. To review, I want you to think of your writing as two sections, but that doesn't mean it's two paragraphs. Say you're juniors and seniors. I'm not going to tell you to do a 5-paragraph essay. You could do a 2-sentence paragraph and write like a real writer. The second part, I'm exploring the more intricate ideas of those two sections. And I talked about 2 ways to set up your compare and contrasting. Whole by whole or point by point. And then finally, I do want you to use one quote somewhere in that second section. And you're going to use a green lead-in, whether it be the tag, the sentence lead-in, or if you feel ready, the embedded.